So welcome back to the SWAU channel. I'm Brian, your host, as always, and we're joined by an awesome filmmaker. She is a director, producer, editor, and everything else from life after movies. It's a wonderful Lisa Downs. Lisa, welcome to the show.
Thank you. What a lovely welcome that was as well.
And we've chatted many times before and even met in person once, but this is your first time on SWAU's channel. And wow, what a journey, literally. For anyone that doesn't know life after movies and who you are, shame on them, they should. And after this interview, I am sure that you'll get many more supporters. But for the viewers, if you could explain what life after movies is and who what part do you play within that?
Well, it has consumed my life for the last 10 years. I mean, it's very strange. It was 2014 that I first Skyped Sam Jones. So that's how long this has been going on.
Wow.
But the documentary series is really my way to celebrate films that I adore and that I grew up with and that are so special to me. And so many other people. Flash Gordon was my first one, Life After Flash, and then Flight of the Navigator with Life After the Navigator was my second. And then literally hot off the press, do I have a Blu-ray? Look, Life After the Never-Ending Story. I'm surrounded by envelopes and things, so I'm a bit disorganized. That just came out. So, it's just a really kind of special series that didn't start off as a series. It was just going to be a one-off about Sam, funnily enough, and then it turned into this kind of celebration about Flash Gordon, and then it grew into what it is now with more to come. So I'm really excited that I can meet the people who starred in and made my absolute favorite films and celebrate the legacy, how I feel like I can celebrate it.
I mean, for anyone watching that hasn't seen any of those documentaries, so Life After Flash, Life After the Navigator, Life After the Never-Ending Story, and obviously we're going to talk about Life After the Goonies. I've got to say, they're not ordinary documentaries. Literally, they grab you, and while watching it, you sort of relive your youth. You relive, the time that you enjoyed, those movies for the first time. There may be a few tears along the way. I'm not ashamed. Sorry?
Especially with Navigator.
Well, this is what I was going to say. When I spoke to Joey, I had to admit, mate, I was in tears. But what an inspiring story. Can I just add that Joey was in Nottingham the other week, and I couldn't go. I couldn't make it. He was so close. He was throwing distance from me, and I couldn't make it. And I've always said that I want to meet him in person. I must have about 400 things signed by him, many on the documentaries, which I've got to say are amazing. So what inspired you to start at the beginning in 2014? What was you doing before? And for the viewers, for them to get to know you a bit more, what inspired you to start this company?
I've always known that I wanted to be in film from when I was 3 or 4. Like, I had my Oscar dress designed when I was 5. It was like based on The Little Mermaid, and like I would practice speeches and interviews I would practice doing when I was really little. So, but the reason that I wanted to be in movies was because, funnily enough, I think it was the Goonies. I just wanted to be a Goonie. I wanted to go on the adventure. I wanted to be their friend. And I didn't understand the concept that people made the films, but I knew about actors. So, because I collected all the magazines of the award shows and things. So I just figured if I wanted to be a Goonie, I should be an actor. So that was kind of where it started. And then as obviously I got older, I realized that people made the films and that I wasn't a good actor. So it kind of led me to doing a production course at university, which then I did my first documentary there in India on this Tibetan children's village where it's run by the Dalai Lama's sister, and she's kind of keeping the culture alive until they can go back to Tibet. And so that was my first short documentary. And then I kind of fell into the sea of TV and adventure travel, and I was producing kind of series and things that were interesting for experience, but not really my passion. I was spending so much time working on other people's dreams and creative ideas that it was around 2014. I was like, I really want to do a feature documentary, but I don't know what on. So I just kind of was open to ideas. And then I had this a mutual friend that I was working at this production company with, who knew Sam Jones from The Jump, the TV show, in the UK. I don't know if it's in the States, but they shouldn't do it. It's ridiculous. And so he was supposed to be on the show, but he hurt his shoulder. So they kind of bonded in the hospital, because she was one of the producers on the show. And we were talking at a party, and she was like, oh, I've just worked with Sam. And I had just missed him and Melody at a Comic-Con. So I was devastated, and obviously a fan of Flash Gordon. I just started talking to her about my love of Flash Gordon. I wonder what happened to him. And, I saw Ted, but what happened in between? And I'd heard stories, and that kind of led to pitching him the idea. And then we started filming, and he said yes. And I was like, this is so weird, but thank you for saying yes. So that's how it kind of began. And then halfway through filming, we just thought this would be a really fun series. So I didn't start like going, let me do a film about Flash Gordon and then make a nostalgic company. It just kind of worked that way.
It's crazy, thinking back. I'm sure you sit there sometimes and think 2014 to now. What a crazy journey, the amount of people that you've met, the experiences that you've had must have been crazy. So let's talk about Life After the Goonies, because it's one of those films that they keep on trying to remake in their own way. And I hate it when films come out and they try and say it's the modern day Goonies, and it just hates. There was one that was made, it was a Netflix film, and it was made in Hawaii. I can't remember the name, but it was that good. I could remember the name, but I
think I know what you're talking about. I can't remember the name either, but I'm pretty sure I know what you're talking about.
But we all remember the Goonies. So after obviously Neverending Story and The Navigator and Flash, what made you go and choose the Goonies next?
Goonies was on my very first list at the beginning in 2017, when we kind of decided it would be a series. And the reason that you see Richard Donner pop up in Life After Flash is because I was interviewing him for Life After the Goonies, with me really wanting to make it happen because I wanted his permission to do it. And at the end, I just thought, let me just ask you a question so I can put you in Flash. Because at that time, not understanding the sales process of films, I thought the more famous faces I had in a film, the more it would sell for and the more successful it would be, which isn't the case, by the way. But that was why I asked him a question about Flash, but I was there for Goonies with this wish to make it happen. And I wanted his okay, which I got, which was amazing. And then the next step for me as a fan was to get Sean Astin's okay, because I wouldn't want to watch a Goonies documentary if Sean Astin wasn't in it. And I'm sure a lot of other actors and cast would not want to be involved if Sean was like, well, I'm not doing it. So that was my next step. And it just took that long for me to stand in front of Sean Astin and say, I want to do a Goonies documentary. Would you be involved? And 2 months ago, he said yes. So that's the journey of an indie filmmaker trying to make it happen. But I was just really lucky. I feel like timing is everything. And so it really worked out. Just the people that I know now, the experience that I have with making these documentaries, it wouldn't have been the same if I had done it back in 2017 when I was trying. But the fact that I was trying then means I have this amazing Richard Donner interview sitting on a hard drive for the last however many years, ready to be seen by people.
Hopefully on more than one hard drive. Do you keep stuff on multiple hard drives?
It's on 3 and Vimeo, so I'm good.
Good. I mean, I've got to say, having a sit down with Richard Donner, I suppose has sorted you out for many more Life After movies because he was such a great. And I want to. You have spoken to me about this before, but I want the SWAU fans out there to hear this story. If you could share. You had a story the last time we spoke about some sort of perfume, and when you met him, if you could share that story to the SWAU fans, because it's such an amazing story.
Well, I'll kind of preface it with this the journey of trying to get the interview. It was pretty easy to get the interview initially. I was very surprised that I really just emailed his office and they said yes. But that was me originally saying I would love to come and have a meeting with him to propose this idea. Oh, there he is. And there's the ship in the background. Propose this idea. I want to get his okay to do it. And then me thinking secondary, I would do an interview. I would just want a meeting with him. And so originally I had a meeting set up. I was in LA already and it was scheduled for my last day to be in LA and he cancelled. So I flew back to England. I was devastated. I was really disappointed. I emailed back and said, look, can I have a phone call just to pitch the idea? So we had a call. I remember like I just in my house and I was so nervous and they were connecting me through and then his voice came on the other end and I blabbled, no, Mr. Donner, I'm such a fan. And he's like, call me Dick. And so we had this really great short and sweet call where I essentially just babbled and pitched it and his words were make it a good one. So I was like, oh, thanks, Mr. Donner. I'm really, I will. And then we scheduled an interview with his assistant and I was going to LA just for this interview. I had my flights booked to just go for like a couple of days and come back because I wanted to have it. And 2 days before the interview, his assistant emailed again and said, oh, we're really sorry. We have to cancel his interview. He's getting a cough. I said, no, I'm coming out. I'm going to take a chance. I'm just going to come out and hope it's better. And I'm just like, I just need to come out. So I did. And then luckily it was all fine with him and his cough was still there a little bit, but it wasn't too bad. And I was staying with a friend and I had never heard of patchouli before, like ever in my life. It pops up everywhere now, but I'd never heard of it. I don't even know what it is still. I don't know if it's a flower or what, but I needed a perfume. So she gave me this patchouli perfume. And then when I went in the office, you walk in and there's like the Lost Boys poster and Goonies poster. And then the sign on the reception saying the most random sign, if you are wearing anything patchouli, change your meeting and don't come in the office at all and reschedule. And like my heart started racing. I was like, well, why? Like, I don't know what patchouli is, but now suddenly I'm not allowed in. And do I say something? Is someone allergic? I don't know. Do they just not like it? And so I was really worried that if I'd flown from England, like, what do I do? So I just didn't say anything. And I was petrified the whole time thinking that maybe I'll give someone an allergic reaction, which is awful. But I just didn't want to have my interview cancelled again because I had a camera operator and, so luckily it just turns out, I believe Lauren Donner just didn't like the smell, but I didn't meet her. So if she was around, I probably maybe would have kicked out and missed the interview, but luckily she wasn't there. So sorry, Lauren, for having patchouli.
How bizarre to have that sign on the, if you're wearing this specific perfume, it's bizarre.
I've never seen that before. And to have this one scent that I'd never heard of in like my whole life. And then to have this sign to say, it was just so weird and just one of the many kind of like comedy of errors of trying to make the interview happen. But, it was a fabulous interview and he was lovely.
How do you prepare for interviews like Richard Donner and the other cast members for this documentary? Because, how much of it is your own wish list of questions, from your nostalgia part of things to what you would think maybe the audience want to hear? And were there ever any difficult subjects or questions that you had to address or ask?
Being a fan of these films anyway, I kind of know what is spoken about and what the questions are. I knew with Flash that there was this big mystery surrounding his voice. Was it dubbed? Who was it? And so I knew going into all of the films what a lot of the questions within the fan community are. So I always have those as a staple. I always allow space for other questions to come off the back of what they say, because obviously a documentary, and I think this is really important, like you don't know someone just from reading a Wikipedia page. Like all the things that I learned from Sam and Joey beyond what you can read online, there's no way you could research that. So Joey, we were really lucky that he was just really open in everything that he had done in his life. And I didn't even put the darkest things in the documentary, so there was a lot that I waded through and worked out what to include. And a lot of the times with someone like him, you just let him talk because it was so therapeutic. He just needed to release all these feelings that he had. With Sam, it was interesting because he was wonderful by just saying to all the friends that we interviewed, I don't care what you say as long as you tell the truth. Tell any story, whatever she asks or whatever you want to talk about, as long as you say it honestly. So it was through the interviews with the friends that I discovered stories about his brother and, his relationship and things that, again, you would never know online. And so after that, I went to Sam with a list and I said, these are the things that all your friends have spoken about. I would love to talk to you about it. You don't have to, but this is what I would like to have this last interview about. And he went and spoke to Ramona, his wife, and they both agreed. And I think it always works that if you're going to tell your story and people need to be inspired what you've achieved and overcome, they need to know what it is that you have battled. So he was very good in, again, just like Joey, being incredibly honest in his story. So yeah, there's always a little bit of research. I read as many articles as I can and watch other interviews because maybe there's a question that I would love to know more about or something. But generally, a lot of it I just know beyond like what obviously the personal stuff that there's no way that you could know.
With the Goonies, how many of the cast have you sat down with and how many have you got left to try and get hold of?
So Goonies is early stages in the sense that Richard Donner, and we did a bit of interviewing in Astoria. I didn't want to go too deep because I wanted Sean's yes. I didn't want to feel like I was officially in production when I didn't know if Sean was going to be involved. I did do a couple of shoots at some Comic-Cons. There was a panel in San Antonio that it was Sean, Corey, and Key were at, so I filmed there. I went to Corey's concert. I filmed at that. It was so good. It was really fun. And then recently in Liverpool, Martha and Kerry were on a panel. So, and I also have a wealth of archive from Mark Marshall, all his photos and behind the scenes. But I really didn't want to move forward too much because I wanted to approach people for an interview to say, hey, we've got this person. Sean said, yes, it's happening. And now I have that collective and I've started to get yes from people. And so as soon as the crowdfund hits, then I know that I can just start getting out there and converting those yeses into on-screen interviews.
And we're going to talk about the crowdfunding and Kickstarter in a moment. But I've got to say, a lot of the cast, are still with us. But sadly, some of the key cast aren't. So you've got Sloth and you've got Mama Fratelli. If you had a chance...
Rosalita and the parents, the Walsh parents.
What's that, sorry?
Rosalita and the Walsh parents as well.
Oh, I mean, it's shocking. But then you think how long ago this film was made. I mean, if you had a chance to sit down with, say, Sloth, with John, and ask him questions, have you got any to mind that you would like to know? I mean, how long would that list be?
Oh, you put me on the spot. I mean, I always have a staple set of questions that I ask everyone because then that way I can intercut answers. And if I have certain themes that I want to hit, with Flash and of course, I mean, for all the films so far, like music's always been something. So I always ask people about the music and how important it is to the film, and then the legacy questions. And so there's always some staple questions. But with Sloth, I mean, I would love to know if he ended up keeping that Superman shirt and how hard it was to slide down the pirate ship sail. But, they were probably the first two that I come to mind, but I'm sure I would have like pages of questions.
Do you know what? My first time to America, I can remember seeing a Baby Ruth bar and me inside just exploding, thinking, oh my word. But talking about something that instantly takes you back to the Goonies, for me, it's Cyndi Lauper. So please say, hopefully, there might be a bit of Cyndi Lauper in the documentary.
I always set out to get as many people involved as possible because a lot of times when you see little making ofs or cast get together to talk about it, they really only have the main cast talk about it. But the film impacted everyone from the crew to people working in Astoria to people so it goes so deep beyond just the key people that you see on screen. So for me, it's really important to get everyone's perspective. So I really have a huge spreadsheet of cast, crew, fans, people involved. Like the guy who spent 4 weeks on set with Viewmaster, I'm going to go and interview. So there's like all these really amazing stories of how the film has impacted so many people beyond just the people who actually made the film. So she is on my list. Of course, I would love to interview Cyndi Lauper. But then one of the other things that I really want to do is have a tribute to Richard Donner within it. So I have a list of people that I know already who've worked with Richard Donner in some capacity, like Jason James Richter, who was obviously out here recently and was in Neverending Story. He worked with him on Free Willy, and Michael Clasterin, who has worked with him, who did all the Back to the Future books, like people like that who Richard Donner was really special to. I'll also interview. So yeah, it's quite a comprehensive list. And as with all the films, I try and approach everyone and I try and get everyone. Not everyone's available. Not everyone wants to do it. I can't make people say yes. So just to preempt the question, yes, I will try and get Cyndi Lauper. Just like I tried to get Timothy Dalton and Sarah Jessica Parker. So...
but that music video itself, seeing Rowdy Roddy Piper and obviously the Bangles before they were famous as pirates, and it's just that music. But a quick funny story, I had a friend in LA that actually got some autographs from Richard Donner, and I sent him out 4 photos that I got printed, and I only got 3 back. And the reason being is because Richard Donner wanted one of them because he's never seen it printed before. So
that's a lovely story.
I was a bit gutted, but then I thought it's all right. He can have one. He can have as many as he wants. I got 3 signed back, which I thought was fantastic, which are on my wall with pride.
I think you were going to say it got lost in the mail. So the fact that Richard Donner has it or had it.
Yeah. I mean, obviously these documentaries cost a lot of money, and there's only a certain amount of credit cards that you can have before you're eating baked beans out of a can and going through bins, which I'm sure that you're not doing. So
pretty close.
Pretty close, bless you. So this is where the audience, the viewers, can help be part of it and get some amazing rewards in the process. I've just ordered mine, Life After the Goonies, which I'm looking forward to getting. So we've only got a few days. I think it's about 9 days as we record this. This video is going to go out ASAP to try and get out there as many people to support this. So how can people support this documentary and get it to the screen?
The Kickstarter, it ends July 12. So crowdfunding has a reputation, I think, a lot of the time. A lot of people maybe have been put off with it because projects have taken years, or maybe they didn't get what they ordered, or, I know that there's a stigma behind crowdfunding, but it is really, really important to people like myself and indie filmmakers, just to help support. I don't pay myself. I've never paid myself. And everything that I've done, from all the pre-production to the filming with Ash, to the editing, to getting the Blu-ray organized and doing, the whole thing, I never take a salary. So these things are really important just to help me get out and film and cover the actual costs of making it and getting the Blu-ray sorted and having this product for fans. And, there's a host of perks that people can get. So it's not just saying, hey, can you please help fund my documentary? People get things in return. There's Blu-rays. So think of it as like a pre-order for the project. There's really fun kind of merch packs and the Viewmaster, and we're going to do a VHS release. You can have your name in the credits as a thank you, or come on board as associate producer or executive producer. There's some amazing Goonie house perks. So
I'm just going to have a look. I think I've got a picture of the house there.
There it is. So you can have, so the perk for the photo opportunities for two people. So the one pledge will, you and a friend can go and, recreate Mikey leaning over the porch. The private tour is for up to four people. So one pledge, up to four of you can go and have a private tour of the house. Schedule it with Bayman whenever works for you if you're in Astoria. And then one of my favorites is join us. There's only 10 people can do this. And some have already been snapped up. So you can join us for a movie night in the Goonie house around Goonie Day next year. We'll work out a date when everyone's kind of pledged, and we know who's coming. So it'll actually be like a really fun night, and we'll have dinner and drinks and watch movies, and that's a really exciting one for me. So people do get something back. I know I see a lot of comments online about crowdfunding and the negative connotations, thinking that we're just kind of asking for money and not giving anything in return. But I put everything I have into this emotionally and financially, so I'm very invested in these, and people are getting things in return. You're getting physical items, or you are getting experiences that you can never have unless you get it through the crowd funds. So it is just really important for independent filmmakers to help get these off the ground. I'm obviously in the UK. The Goonies was filmed in America, and the crew are in America. So any support just would be absolutely wonderful. And it is an all or nothing crowdfund too. So if it doesn't hit, I hope it does. I'm kind of back to square one. So I really hope that anyone out there wants to support it, please watch the video too and read the story in the page. It explains more, and just have a look at what is offered. That would be hugely appreciative, and I would be eternally grateful.
And I'll put all the links in the video below for everyone to actually click on. But what I like about this is that you feel part of it. When you're actually pledging and you're buying a reward, not only are the rewards fantastic, I mean, the Viewmaster for a start. I swear I remember having the Goonies on Viewmaster. I had Superman the movie, and I swear I had the Goonies as well.
So this is what I really love. I found, when I decided to do a Viewmaster, I just found this company, and I didn't know where they were based, and they said yes, they would help me with it. And then I looked into them, and they were based in Oregon. So I emailed them back. I was like, oh, it's really funny. It's actually for a Goonies project. And the lady who runs the company emailed back and said, it's so funny that you're doing a Goonies project. I took over this company from my dad, and he was the official photographer for Viewmaster and spent 4 weeks on the set of Goonies. And now I'm interviewing him. And the Viewmasters in the Kickstarter are by the company of the daughter of the official Goonies Viewmaster guy. First of all, it blew my mind there was an official Viewmaster photographer. I just thought they used stills from the film. But it's just a really kind of special, and this is what I like about these kind of fan documentaries is it, like we were saying before, it goes beyond talking just to cast and crew. I'm interviewing so many fans of Goonies, and I'll go to their house and I'll explore their Goonie collection and hear what it means to them. And so it really is like a fan film. I'm doing this, yes, because I would like to see it and I would like to make it, but I feel like being a Goonie fan, this is something that we need. And we don't have a sequel, which I'm glad about, because I feel like it's too special to have a sequel. But I feel like we need something definitive as a community of Goonies. So that is why I'm doing this, as well as selfishly because I want to watch it.
And for all the viewers, if you're unsure yet about pledging, I've got to say, check out Life After Flash, the Navigator one, and Never Ending Story, because then you'll see exactly what type of documentary we're going to expect, and I'm sure it's going to be better, because these documentaries are just fantastic.
Oh, thank you. And the trailers, just a quick one on that. In the story of the crowdfund at the end, the trailers for all the other films are there. So if people want to see the trailers of what else I've done, then they can look at it there.
And another awesome reward on this Goonies is a little set of all of them together. So if you haven't purchased one yet and you want to get all of them together, you can. And when I mentioned earlier on about pledging and feeling part of it, one of the rewards, you get a little sewn sort of patch, and it's got on their crew, which I think is fantastic, and I'm collecting them. And it
They're
just
collector
shows.
patches.
Sorry.
They're collector patches. This is my Navigator one.
Yeah. But the thing is, it's nice that you've done those, because it makes everyone that's backed it feel part of it, which I
Yeah.
think's so special. Because yeah, you're right. There are people out there that don't really run these Kickstarters as they should do, and people are weary. But again, these projects that you're doing are fantastic, and I cannot wait to watch it. And with only days left, I am positive that someone, maybe in America, someone, a millionaire, that would be nice, wouldn't it?
Come on, angel investors. That's what I need.
Yes, and then their
Film
perks would be producer, and they'll have their names in lights and everything like that. One of my last questions, during your journey so far for the Goonies, has anything really surprised you that you didn't know prior to what you know now, without giving anything away? Because people obviously will have to pledge to find this information out.
There are a few things that Rich Donner said that I didn't know, but I won't say them because then people will watch the documentary. But I really enjoyed his interview. That was really special.
And did you take anything from his office?
I tell you what, I wish I had it on my phone. So you can see the ship behind him in the background. He had all his clapperboards on the wall from all the films, including the Goonies film. And I was so nervous when I walked in that it made it even worse, that I don't know where the picture is in relation to me, to his right and my left was the original One-Eyed Willie skull in a glass case next to him. And I was just like, I don't know what I'm doing anymore. Like, I walked in the office and I almost I forgot how to operate a camera. I forgot how. I mean, it was One-Eyed Willie, like the real screen used One-Eyed Willie with his patch and everything. So, I mean, it was so surreal, but he was so lovely and so tall as well. But he was just really lovely. And we spoke about dogs afterwards and charity. And yeah, he had like
Wow.
6 dogs.
I mean, you're very lucky to have that time with him. And when you're interviewing people like Richard Donner and the other amazing people that you've had sit downs with, do you sort of get lost in that moment? Because it must be quite surreal to be sat down with these people and them tell you these stories and you just be in awe. I mean, do you ever get, lost in the moment and think, oh no, where, what's next?
I think, yes. So after Brian May, I had to make a conscious point in myself to not think about what the person in front of me has achieved or creative. Because there was one point in Brian's interview, I think he finished the answer and I was just staring at him and I didn't say anything because in my head I was like, this is Brian May. He was in Queen. He did Flash. So I was going through his whole career, like almost flashing before my eyes, and I completely lost track because I became so conscious of the gravity of what this man had created and his talent. So after that, I was like, I just have to almost black it out in my head. And then it's afterwards in the car, I can kind of realize what that meant, So it's just because sometimes it's so overwhelming. Like I couldn't sit in front of Richard Donner and just think about all he had created and achieved and how important he was to, like, it just at the end when I was talking to him, that's when it kind of hit me a bit more, but I really had to kind of put it in the back of my head and just think about the questions, because otherwise I would just be staring blankly and I wouldn't achieve anything.
Well, again, an amazing start. Brian May lives, he used to live down the road from me here in, where is it, Rainworth, in Nottinghamshire. I don't know if he still lives there now. But Lisa, you've been a great guest on the SWAU channel. And I'm keeping my fingers crossed, and I'm positive that we're going to hit this Kickstarter amount And for everyone that hasn't seen any of these documentaries, I think the best thing to do is just buy the bundle reward, get them all in one go. You get the patches and everything like that, and you'll get the Goonies once it's released as well. And
Sounds
if
like
you're
the only option. Sounds like a
exactly,
very fair option.
and then if you're on the retro side, you can get a Viewmaster, a VHS. You can do the whole lot. And the great thing is, for everyone based in the US, it'll be a lot easier to get to the house, for that viewing or that visit, and have your picture taken in that iconic house, which everyone thought that was knocked down, or
Yeah.
but it isn't. It isn't. It had renovations, but it's still the original house, which is
And
pretty
it
cool.
looks so surreal when you go and see it. And also next year is the 40th anniversary. So June 7, Goonie Day, next year is going to be a really big one. So if anyone is thinking about going to Astoria, then
That
there's
makes
no
me feel
excuse not to go.
so old, because I can
I
remember it
know.
coming out, and that has just made me. It's shocking when you think now these films coming out and they're having their 40th anniversary. You're thinking, it's just shocking. But Lisa, you've been a
For me,
great.
the 90s was 10 years ago, and it'll always be 10 years ago. So,
Yeah.
like maximum 10 years, maybe 6 sometimes. So I don't like to think about it.
But Lisa, you've been a great guest. Look after yourself. Keep safe, and we'll keep in touch. And fingers crossed, we'll get this going on the YouTube channel, and we can get some support for you from SWAU.
Thank you so much.